Our next question is from Andrea. Has pre and post surgery nutrition buildup been covered? She says, "Hi, kids and kitties and squatchies. So it's been a little while since I have been devouring each and every single podcast episode, and I apologize. My own business focus has put me more into the writing podcast genre recently, but I see Tim Grahl on your interviewee list. So my question, have you guys laid out a protocol for extreme nutrient buildup for before and after a scheduled surgery? This would be for someone who is not really paleo, still eats gluten, and mostly just avoids sugar and junky foods. So they are not yet on the rawr sardines from nom nom bandwagon, sadly." But if they have a willingness to make some changes to ensure they're in a better place to prepare to recover from their surgery, jaw replacement if it matters, what would you prescribe to them? And family, so if this guidance comes from an outside authority that could make the critical difference in their enthusiasm. P.S. Love to all you guys. You're doing the chop wood, carry the water, and have been for so long. I bow in respect. Hope to see you again soon at some rando paleo conference. Andrea in Burbank.
That's awesome. Yeah, some days I feel like sticking my head under the chopping of wood, but
or in the bucket of water.
Or in the bucket of water. Yeah. Man, this is an interesting question. It's going to be reasonably controversial, but hey, what isn't that we do at this point? But we noticed something when we moved to Reno. We had a couple of people reach out to us, and they were super excited the fact that we were here, and they ended up being plastic surgeons. And what we discovered was that through processes that I still am not entirely aware of, but people were coming into their program, and they want like a boob job, or they want this, or they want that. And somebody suggested, hey, why don't we do a lifestyle program for these people first? And what it was a low carb, ketogenic, paleo type deal. And what they noticed was that, one, people ended up losing shocking amounts of weight on this program. And then when they so people would go in frequently, like tummy tucks were the big deal. That's what it was. Tummy tucks were the big deal, or liposuction. People would do this lifestyle deal of 8 to 12 weeks of a paleo challenge type gig. They got done with that, and then they're like, wow, I don't need a tummy tuck anymore. And so then they're like, well, what about boobs and eyebrows and all this stuff? So, and then when they would do the surgery on these people, they were just stunned with how well they recovered. I mean, shocked with how well they recovered. Scarring was like virtually non-existent. And something that people don't really appreciate is that these big glucose spikes and crashes with regards to like scar formation are really nasty. With regards to immune response are really terrible. Like these big glucose deltas cause suppression and immune response. So everything that you would kind of want to go into effective healing is kind of fucked up with bad diet. I had LASIK done, 2007?
Or 8, yeah.
2007, 2008?
It was 8. It was after we went to Nicaragua, because you had your glasses when you were trying to snorkel there.
That's right. Yeah, it sucked. So I went to this guy. He's one of the best LASIK surgeons on the West Coast. I was ketogenic at the time because I had read a lot of stuff about wound healing, and it was very early, but it in my mind reduced glycemic load and all that stuff made a ton of sense. Did the surgery, it went great. I was ecstatic. Went back like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, a month, whatever it was, to get checked up. And the doctor literally so I'm sitting looking in this thing, and he looks, and then he looks around, and he looks in there, and he looks around, and he's like, you aren't fucking with me, are you? And I was like, I don't know what you mean. And he's like, it is you don't have a twin. And I'm like, no, I don't. And then he was like, you have absolutely no scarring from the surgery. I mean, like none. He could detect no scarring. And what's interesting is most people with LASIK, they talk about like chromatic aberrations, where like when they drive at night, they get these kind of halo effects, and it's just, oh, gee whiz, it's just kind of the downside of doing this. And knock on wood, but I have had no problem with that. I get a little bit of dry eye, like if the wind blows in my eyes after LASIK, that has been a little bit of a problem where my eyes will water. But he said that I would need a tune-up on this stuff, and or would need reading glasses like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. More than that, but every once in a while, if I have really fine print, I will pull out some reading glasses. But I had no scarring. The LASIK has lasted way longer than it was supposed to, and we've heard kind of similar reports from people. So,
so as far as like a prescription, like this person's going into surgery, let's say like 3 or 4 weeks from now, like beef, salmon, blueberries,
kind of low carb paleo type deal, even just for the weeks leading up to and the weeks afterwards. I mean, at a minimum, and the recovery, I would again kind of knock on one, but it's really interesting. Sean Baker is a surgeon. Like most of the people that were early to adopt low carb have been surgeons, because they would see someone change their diet, and then it wasn't like, oh, well, I don't know, their cholesterol went up. And, an internal medicine person is like, I don't know if it really did all that much. But a fucking surgeon, they're looking at like suture lines and wound healing and complications, and they're keeping statistics on that. And that's where the plastic surgeons that we've met and have become friends with in Reno, they were like, their complication rate just plummeted. With people, they got to a point where they're like, no, you need to do this lifestyle program first before I'm going to do anything. And it became a little bit of a non-negotiable deal there. So for this person, it sounds like they still kind of eat kind of poorly. But I mean, just trying to get a little bit on top of a lower glycemic load paleo type approach. This might be an argument for an exogenous ketone deal, where they're using them before, during, and after this process, because the ketogenic state is itself anti-inflammatory. It tends to promote a lowering in blood glucose levels and whatnot. So this is maybe one of those scenarios where an exogenous
with eating
ketone,
as much nutrients,
as clean as you could,
as you can.
Yeah.
And sardines to be on the nom nom bandwagon.
Yeah, everybody wants to be on that bandwagon.